In what is being described as one of the most shocking and unprecedented moments in South African political history, President Sir Ramaphosa was dragged out of Parliament live on national television, leaving millions of citizens watching in stunned disbelief. The scenes broadcast across major networks and social media platforms have ignited a firestorm of debate, speculation, and outrage as the nation grapples with the sheer audacity and emotional intensity of what unfolded. The events began during a high-stakes parliamentary session that was meant to address growing public frustration over the state of the country. Rising unemployment, persistent load shedding, allegations of corruption, and the lingering fallout from the failure scandal were all on the agenda. However, what was supposed to be a controlled political discussion quickly deteriorated into chaos as opposition MPs grew increasingly vocal, their shouts and chants reverberating through the chamber. Eyewitnesses say the tension was palpable from the moment Ramaphosa stepped up to speak. The normally composed president appeared visibly strained as he attempted to present his arguments and defend his administration. But interruptions, shouted accusations, and a barrage of demands for his resignation escalated to the point where normal parliamentary decorum collapsed entirely. The speaker struggled to regain control, repeatedly calling for order, but the opposition was relentless. Amidst the cacophony, opposition members advanced toward the podium, insisting that the president leave immediately. Security personnel moved cautiously at first, but as the situation intensified, they were forced to intervene. The camera captured a historic, heart-stopping moment, Ramaphosa, visibly shaken, being physically escorted from the floor of the National Assembly while members of both sides watched in stunned silence. His face reflected a mixture of disbelief, frustration, and resignation. As he was led out, Ramaphosa turned briefly toward the assembly, uttering words that have since gone viral, "I did my best." The phrase, simple yet deeply poignant, seemed to convey both a personal apology and a declaration of the heavy burden he bore as the leader of a nation facing numerous crises. Citizens and politicians alike have since debated the meaning of those words, a final act of vulnerability, a plea for understanding, or perhaps a tacit acknowledgement of political defeat. Outside Parliament, the reaction was immediate and explosive. Supporters of the president condemned the opposition's actions as disrespectful, even dangerous. Social media erupted with hashtags such as #Ramaphosa dragged out, #I did my best, and #Parliament chaos trending within minutes. Many expressed shock and sorrow at seeing a sitting president removed in such a public and dramatic fashion, arguing that it represented a deepening political crisis rather than a triumph for accountability. Critics, on the other hand, held the event as a symbol of accountability catching up to leadership. "This is the moment South Africa demanded action," one opposition leader stated. "The president has failed to protect the country from corruption, inefficiency, and systemic failures. Today is a turning point." Editorials across national newspapers and online platforms have since framed the episode as either a historic humiliation or a cathartic moment of truth, depending on political perspective. Analysts are already predicting far-reaching consequences. Questions abound: will this accelerate Ramaphosa's political decline, potentially paving the way for a leadership reshuffle within the ANC? Could this event influence the 2026 general elections, where public perception of a leader's ability to maintain authority could be decisive? Or conversely, could the emotional impact of the "I did my best" moment generate sympathy, portraying the president as a humanized figure overwhelmed by the impossible challenges of governance? The visual of Ramaphosa being escorted out, juxtaposed against the backdrop of a divided parliament and a nation watching live, is likely to remain etched in South African collective memory for decades. The symbolism is unmistakable: a leader removed from power, democracy in action, and a country forced to confront the fragility of its political institutions. For ordinary South Africans, the event triggered an outpouring of emotions: disbelief, anger, sadness, and hope, all mingled in reactions across social media, town halls, and households nationwide. Memes, clips, and commentary spread like wildfire, ensuring that no one will forget the day a sitting president was physically removed from parliament before their very eyes. Historians and political commentators have already begun to contextualize the event as one of the most dramatic power moments in post-apartheid South Africa. Regardless of political affiliation, one fact remains clear: the images, words, and raw emotion of that day will define Ramaphosa's legacy and leave an indelible mark on the country's political narrative. In a nation hungry for leadership, stability, and accountability, the drama of that live moment will continue to resonate, spark debate, and shape the political discourse for years to come. The scenes of President Sir Ramaphosa being dragged out live are more than just shocking television. They are a reflection of a country at a crossroads, grappling with leadership, power, and the high stakes of democracy itself.